Welcome to the Centre for Christian Spirituality, and thank you for joining us again as we reflect on the 30th Sunday of Ordinary Time. I invite you to listen to the text. They reached Jericho, and as he left Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd, Bartimaeus, that is, the son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting at the side of the road. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and to say, "Son of David, Jesus, have pity on me." And many of them scolded him and told him to keep quiet, but he only shouted all the louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him here." So they called the blind man. "Courage," they said, "get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he jumped up and went to Jesus. Then Jesus spoke, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Rabbuni," the blind man said to him, "Master, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has saved you." And immediately his sight returned, and he followed Jesus along the road. The Gospels over the last few Sundays have been that journey to Jerusalem. This is the last incident before Jesus enters Jerusalem. The journey began with the cure of a blind man. On that occasion it took 2 goes. After the first go, the man said he could see things like trees walking, but then he was able to see. Here we have a much clearer vision at the end of that time of instruction, that this man sees clearly. And what it is he sees, I think, is the message that Jesus has brought. It not only does he see in a human visible sense, but he sees the message and goes on to follow Jesus. So it's picking up something that's been there right throughout these stories, the faith. It was the faith of centurion, the faith of the woman with the issue of blood. All of those things, really it is faith that actually matters. Notice I was struck particularly by the fact that Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" That's exactly what he said to the sons of Zebedee. And they wanted to sit on each side of him in his glory. But this man simply wants to see. And really the seeing that he ultimately wants is really what Jesus has come to actually give. So it's a climax story preparing for the ministry in Jerusalem that was going to climax with the Passion.
It's such a wonderful, lively scene because it's the whole faith journey in an instant where this poor blind man's on the edge of the road, and I love he's screaming out. No one can see him. He's on the ground, and eventually Jesus hears him and they say, "Stand up, get up, he's here, he wants to speak to you." And you could just imagine the terror of this man. And that beautiful ending where he says, "It's your faith that has made you well," and he follows him because he can see him. Oh. I'm sorry.
I
just say it's this wonderful drama, that's right, and all the others around, they just make the path so this man comes to Jesus.
But they obstruct him in the beginning, just as the disciples wouldn't let the children come. There's a sense of obstacles there, but Jesus sees through that to the person.
I'm coming at it in a different way because I was so impressed in something I was reading about Letitia, who's a grandmother, and she has the sole care for her 7-year-old grandson who is disabled. She cannot read or write, but in the process of the therapy for the grandson, she also learned to read and to write. And that was, to me, a little bit like Bartimaeus, something being opened, because this now enabled her to assure greater protection for her grandson, that they now could no longer be taken advantage of by others. And I just thought, there are so many ways that we encounter the experience of Bartimaeus in our lives, and the story of Letitia and her grandson just touched me and spoke to me of Bartimaeus in this story today.
Thank you. We invite you now to just look at the text again and just see what it is that you draw from the text as you read it for the first time. Welcome back. We invite you now to listen to the text again.
They reached Jericho, and as he left Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd, Bartimaeus, that is the son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting at the side of the road. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout and to say, "Son of David, Jesus, have pity on me." And many of them scolded him and told him to keep quiet, but he only shouted all the louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him here." So they called the blind man. "Courage," they said, "get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he jumped up and went to Jesus. Then Jesus spoke, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Rabbuni," the blind man said to him, "Master, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has saved you." And immediately his sight returned, and he followed him along the road. A practical application for me was that last line, "and he followed him along the road." That's what I'm praying for, that capacity to see and to follow.
I can't help but think of an experience that comes from the L'Arche community, and one of the residents within the community, in greeting another, said, "I'm so-and-so and this is my disability, what's yours?" And again, it just connected me to our gospel passage and causes me to reflect on, in spite of what I might see as my limitations and my disabilities, where's the presence of God that's enabling me to see other possibilities that can cause me to want to follow.
I was struck by the prayer of the blind man, because this is the Jesus prayer, "Lord Jesus, Son of God, Son of David, have mercy on us."
Yeah.
And I thought that my practical application might perhaps be to become aware of the Jesus prayer throughout the week. It's had such an important influence in the Eastern Church, and certainly has application in the West as well. So we invite you now to draw something from the text that you can apply to your life. Remember, what begins in the text needs to end in your life. So now draw something practical. Thank you for doing that. We invite you now to spend a moment in prayer to ask the Lord to give you the strength and the courage and the patience to actually implement what you have chosen. Thank you for being with us. We hope that you will join us next week as we think about the 31st Sunday. But today we will conclude with the prayer of the 30th Sunday.
Almighty ever-living God, increase our faith, hope and charity, and make us love what you command, so that we may merit what you promise, through Christ our Lord.